everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about what it's like being young and passionate for Christ. If you're interested in learning more about my experiences, stay tuned. So I get a lot of questions from a lot of people my age about different things that they go through once they basically come to Christ, once they decide to make a change in their lives, once they want to get serious with Christ. And a lot of the things that they bring to me are challenges and how I overcome those challenges. So today I want to kind of give you some of the challenges that I found that I've had, as I've been on my Christian journey, and how I overcame those challenges, or how I am overcoming those challenges, because there are still presently a lot of challenges that I go through. So the number one thing that I would say when I first came back to Christ was that I struggled with feeling alone. Now, I had people around me. Of course, you probably heard that whole thing about you can be alone in a room full of people. Now, there was a certain type of people I hung out with. Even though I wasn't, like where I am now, I didn't have a ton of friends, but there were certain people I would choose to hang out with, or certain people from my past or things like that I chose to conversate with. Now, when I became passionate about Christ, you immediately think, oh my gosh, other Christians, other Christians I'm going to be friends with. But my experience was that when you're passionate, like when you are so, like people claim Christ, people claim God, but sometimes they're not as hungry as you are. Especially, when God downloads all this truth into you and you become super passionate about him, you start looking at everybody else and you're like, why aren't they passionate about this? Why? Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, you start kind of questioning yourself, and then you think, oh my gosh, I'm so lonely. Like, some of the things that you used to want to do and that your friends or, people used to hang out with, the things that they're doing, you're no longer interested in, or sometimes maybe it's now making you uncomfortable. And so you kind of go on this journey where you feel like, who can I hang with? Who can I talk to? You don't want to seem like, you feel like you're better than anybody. It's just that you're trying to guard yourself from certain things. That you won't tolerate certain things that you used to tolerate anymore, and certain things don't interest you the way that they used to interest you anymore. So now, you have to you're like, okay, who do I hang around? And it's not easy to just pick people to hang out with. So what I initially did, because I was actually fortunate, because one of my best friends at the time was actually my best friend before I got saved. So when I got saved, she was still my friend, and she was also saved, and she also had that passion for God that I had. But once she ended up moving to another state, I began to feel very alone. I began to feel like no one was as passionate as I was. And if they were passionate, they were older. And I'm thinking, I'm never going to have any more friends. Like, I'm never going to meet anybody. And so I would kind of go on and on and on about how I'm going to be alone. Maybe, God wants me to be alone and all this stuff. But what I began to do was pray. I began to pray about the people that were supposed to be in my life. And sometimes at the time I was kind of like trying to fit in anywhere, because I just wanted to feel a sense of belonging. But I began to pray to God. I began to ask him, to put the right people in my life, to send the right godly relationships, the right relationships that will help grow me, put people around me who are passionate just the same as I am. And it's hard. It's something that I know God did, because God eventually brought those people into my life. And God began to actually send those people, and not the way that I expected. You see, I began to stay a little longer after church. I began to join small groups. I began to do all of these things. And through those experiences, through those small groups, through me serving at the church, I began to meet other people of like mind. And I'm not saying every single person I met I connected with, but God connected me to those people that I need to be connected to in that season. So it's definitely hard when you are first coming back to Christ, because young people, people, just to be honest, a lot of young people just want to live their lives. They want to live their lives until they're done doing whatever, and then they want to give their lives to Christ. But when God does a work in you, there is no time to waste. So now here you are, you're young, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, whatever it is, you're young and you're passionate about Christ. So yeah, I would just say pray about those certain connections. Get into serving. Start doing those things that you're passionate about, and I promise you, God will set up those divine arrangements. He will have those times where you meet the people you're supposed to be connected with. So there's a period of time where you may be lonely, but just pray about it. Just honestly pray about it. Begin to get into your community. Begin to serve. Do all those things. So yes, it won't last always. Also, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I watched a lot of, people who would talk about, or younger women or younger people who would actually talk about their love for Christ. And I would kind of get connected through the comments. And online community is really great. If you don't have anybody right now in your community that you've been connected with, just begin to watch videos. So yes, it may be lonely at first, but God will connect you to the right people. Now, the second thing is, and I'm looking down at my notes because I did take notes, you guys. It builds a tougher skin. I'll say that because it's going to build a tougher skin. Majority of the time, you're not going to be in a group full of believers, especially if you're not in the church environment, if you're at work, or depending on where you work at, or if you're anywhere else. There are not going to be a ton of people who believe what you believe. It may sound like, a lot of people think, Christianity is very popular, and it is. But there are a lot of underlying things. Like there are a lot of things or challenges that I've been faced with, especially from people of color, from other people. Number one being Christianity is the white man's religion. I get that so much. You only believe in God because, the slave masters gave your ancestors this stuff, or, you only believe in God because your mother told you. You only believe in God because, they try to tell you why you believe in God and why it's not real, why the Bible's not real and all this stuff. So you're faced with a lot of critics. Even if, you're firm in what you believe, they feel like you're doing too much. That was one of the things I felt like I was challenged with. I felt like people, kind of were like, this is going to die down. Maybe you're doing too much. She's always talking about God, And so that was really difficult for me. And it builds tough skin because you get into a lot of situations where, you do want to defend your faith. Not that you want to get in a full-blown argument, but sometimes you get in situations where you're talking and, I love this phrase, kingdom over culture. You begin to stand by kingdom principles over cultural principles. And then it's really hard. It's really difficult because they're going to be people who don't believe what you believe. They're going to be people who criticize what you believe. My favorite one is that the Bible was written by a man. And there's a whole lot about that, but everything else is written by man too. So you choose what you believe. You have faith in something, whether it's nothing or something. So you have faith in something. I just choose to have faith in Jesus Christ. So you have to be able to have tough skin. You have to be able to be confident in what you know. The people will try to shake you. And you just have to stand firm in what you know. You have to trust God and you have to believe God. And that can be very difficult, especially when you might be the only one who's making a stand for Christ, but sometimes you gotta look crazy. You're gonna look crazy for Christ, So that's another thing that I was faced with, building a tougher skin. And learning not to react to everything that I hear, because a lot of things upset me because I genuinely want people to know how good God is, but it's not up to me to change them. So I had to understand that. But yes, it builds a tougher skin. And now the last thing is people are not themselves around you. Unless people know me, I find that a lot of people aren't themselves in front of me. A lot of people excuse themselves for certain things that they do, or maybe I feel like they don't say certain things around me because whatever they think about me, maybe they think I'm going to judge them. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people I feel like a lot of people aren't themselves around me. They're not their authentic self. And I don't know what that's about. That's not on me. I'm not going to judge you. Like the scripture says, I got to clean the plank out of my own eye before I try to get the speck out of your eye. So, I mean, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. You know, I'm not going to do that. I'm not saying do whatever you want around me, but I don't want people to feel like they can't be themselves around me. And I do feel like I face that a lot, being young and Christian, as I meet new people or people who come in contact with me and they, see my passion for Christ, So yes, that's another thing that I've encountered. There are a lot more things that I would say that I have encountered, but those are the top 3 things. So feeling alone, building a tougher skin, and people not feeling like they can be themselves around me. So what are some of the challenges that you feel like you face? Because I know I'm not the only one who faces some challenges. Go ahead and share down in the comments down below some of the things that you find that you struggle with, or how you overcame something that you struggle with, because we love to hear about it. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.